Tesla compares extracting energy from the environment to the work of other scientists who were, at that time, learning to condense atmospheric gases into liquids. In particular, he cited the work of Dr. Carl Lind, who had discovered what Tesla described as a self-cooling method for liquefying air. As Tesla said, "This was the only experimental proof which I was still wanting that energy was obtainable from the medium in the manner contemplated by me." What ties the Lind work with Tesla's electromagnet coil is that both of them used a double path for the material they were working with. Lind had a compressor to pump the air to high pressure, let the pressure fall as it traveled through a tube, and then used that cooled air to reduce the temperature of the incoming air by having it travel back up the first tube through a second tube enclosing the first. The already cooled air added to the cooling process of the machine and quickly condensed the gases to a liquid. Tesla's intent was to condense the energy trapped between the Earth and its upper atmosphere and to turn it into an electric current. He pictured the sun as an immense ball of electricity, positively charged with a potential of some 200 billion volts. The Earth, on the other hand, is charged with negative electricity. The tremendous electrical force between these two bodies constituted, at least in part, what he called cosmic energy. It varied from night to day and from season to season, but it is always present. The positive particles are stopped at the ionosphere, and between it and the negative charges in the ground, a distance of 60 miles, there is a large difference in voltage, something on the order of 360,000 volts. With the gases of the atmosphere acting as an insulator between these two opposite stores of electrical charges, the region between the ground and the edge of space traps a great deal of energy. Despite the large size of the planet, it is electrically like a capacitor that keeps positive and negative charges apart by using a non-conducting material as an insulator. The Earth has a charge of 90,000 coulombs. With a potential of 360,000 volts, the Earth constitutes a capacitor of 0.25 farads. Farads equals coulombs, volts. If the formula for calculating the energy stored in a capacitor, E equals 1/2 CV2, is applied to the Earth, it turns out that the ambient medium contains 1.6 x 1011 joules or 4.5 megawatt-hours of electrical energy. In order to tap this energy storehouse, Tesla had to accomplish two things: make a cold sink in the ambient energy and devise a way of making the sink self-pumping. Such a sink would have to be at a lower energy state than the surrounding medium, and, for the energy to continually flow into it, the sink would have to maintain the lower energy state while meeting the power requirements of the load attached to it. Electrical energy, watt-seconds, is a product of volts x amps x seconds. Because the period of oscillation does not change, either voltage or current has to be the variable in the coil's energy equation. In that the double-wound coil maximizes the voltage difference between its turns, it is probable that it is the current that is minimized to produce a low energy state in the coil. For the coil to be initially empty and at low energy would mean it operated at high voltage with a small amount of charge. The coil, then, would be set into oscillation at its resonant frequency by an external power source. During a portion of its cycle, the coil will appear to the Earth's electric field as one plate of a capacitor. As the voltage across the coil increases, the amount of charge it can sink from the Earth's higher energy field will increase. The energy taken into the coil, through the small opening, which appears to be the atomic structure of the conductor according to the physics of Tesla's time, is condensed into positive and negative components of current, a lower energy state relative to the originating field. The current is equivalent to the water converted to gases in Tesla's description of the self-acting engine. The current would escape from the sink into whatever load was connected across the coil. The movement of current into the load would produce a strong magnetic field, the stated intention of the patent, which, when it collapsed, would, again, produce a high potential, low charge, sink, to couple with the Earth's electric field. Because the inflowing energy performs a double function similar to the unipolar generator, supplying current to the load and aiding the pumping function, the system's energy expenditure in moving charge is low, allowing the system to gain more energy from the medium than it expends in its operation. The coil needs no extra energy from an outside source to pump the energy it has extracted. Energy would come directly from the sun. A more modern view of such a device, should it prove to operate in this theoretical manner, would be to describe it as a self-oscillating capacitive system. Once the device is set into oscillation, very little power is expended in driving the load. Because it is an electrostatic oscillating system, only a small amount of charge moves through the load per cycle, that is, the coulomb per second equals amps a low. If the charge is used at a low rate, the energy stored in the capacitive system will be turned into heat at a slow rate, enabling the oscillations to continue for a long period of time. Thanks to all my Patreon subscribers.